Hey Gemini, how's it going? Got some messages for you today. I'm gonna need your help identifying a flower because I couldn't figure it out. So in your meditation, when I was tuning into you, I saw two snakes make an S shape, like kind of defying gravity, and they were back to back making this S shape, and then they opened their mouths and these two flowers bloomed out of their mouths. And it was this pink and white flower. It had kind of longish, floppy petals, and then like a tubular petal in the middle that had these yellow stamen coming out from it. And like it looked kind of like a lily, kind of like a hibiscus, kind of like an orchid, but it's not any of these. And I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it online or anything. So it was pink and white, yellow stamen, some big floppy petals and a tubular petal in the middle with the stamen coming out. And then two more snakes made an S shape, kind of came out of those ones beneath it. I don't really know how they came out. They didn't like come out of its head or out of its mouths or anything like that, but just kind of stacked on top of each other. Two more snakes came out and two more flowers bloomed from their mouths. And then again, a third pair of snakes made an S shape back to back with more flowers. And it kept going like that, like this big ladder of snakes with flowers coming out of their mouths, just going up and up and up and up and up forever. So the first thing I thought of was, like the coiled snakes around Hermes's caduceus, or the two sushumna channels of our spinal column, and the chakras that get enlightened by the kundalini energy, or the spinal serpent, that spinal fire. That was just the first thing that came to mind, although there could be different significance for you, I'm not sure. But these snakes were sort of a darkish brown, maybe some black on them. I think there might have been some lighter color, like some tan spots going down their back. I don't know. I don't know exactly. Not copperheads and not garter snakes. But yeah, they were probably each about like a foot to 2 feet long. And yeah, it just went on and on forever. And I eventually just stopped with the meditation because it was just going on forever. And I couldn't get anything else. I couldn't get it to change or see anything. And then I pulled an I Ching hexagram for you, and we got 35, Jing, or proceeding forward with no changing lines. Proceeding forward, it kind of sounds like exactly what you think. This is about advancing, promoting your interests, moving forward with something, progressing with something. And here we have the two elements of fire above earth. And so we see the sun going through its course, proceeding to noon, right? Or just proceeding with its course at any time. And here is an important note about this hexagram is keeping with the golden mean. Now, the golden mean generally means like, of course, just being steadfast, upright, sincere, and honest, right? That's the golden mean. But there's also a mathematical golden mean, which we call the phi ratio, Phi, and that's a ratio of 1 to 0.618, roughly. It repeats forever, this ratio, but it's roughly 0.618 to 1. And this ratio shows up a lot in nature. It's the ratio of the angular curve of things like shells, like snail shells and mollusk shells, the curves that you see in like the head of a cauliflower, the ratio between the branches of a full-grown tree and its trunk, all sorts of things. Even the human body is full of this ratio. And artists, musicians, and architects who implement this mathematics, this ratio into their works, generally create very well-regarded works of art, architecture, and music. And there's all types of ways you can use this ratio. The length of a door by the width of the door. If it's 1 unit long, then it's going to be 0.618 units wide, and that will give you like a beautiful looking door. There's all sorts of ways to use this ratio. So maybe if you're an artist or an architect or something like that, you want to look into the phi ratio and all the different ways in which you can apply it. like the different degrees between shades of color. You know, there are ratios between like frequencies of light, like two different colors have a ratio, and try to find the 0.618 ratio between them, something like that. And you might find you're creating these really aesthetically beautiful, pleasing, natural works of art that just, these types of works, whether, you know, if it's a piece of architecture built to this ratio, when people walk into this place, they feel uplifted, they feel healthier, they feel a sense of harmony. When people see paintings or photographs that take this ratio into account, there's this unpronounceable beauty and good feeling about it that people are like, I don't know why I like this picture so much, I can't figure it out. It's because of the ratios of the shapes, and so on. It has a very, very positive effect on everyone who witnesses these works. The viewer, the participant, or whomever is experiencing a work. And you might want to look into that now. Expand your creativity by using this ratio. Also, here we have this idea that, so here on the bottom we have Earth, right? These three yin lines is the element of Earth. And above it is fire. If that middle line was just straight across a solid line, we would have heaven. That would be the element of heaven here. So this is very close to being heaven over earth, right? But when that middle line turns into a yin line, so when three yang lines have a middle line that turns into a yin line, it becomes heaven. So here we have heaven becomes fire. Those three yang lines are all masculine. Yang is the masculine energy and yin is the feminine energy. So when a bit of feminine energy finds its way into the middle of heaven, heaven becomes fire. And that's another thing that makes me think of the spinal fire. You know, in Sanskrit, it's known as Shakti, which is the feminine aspect or the feminine counterpart to Shiva. And that spinal fire, that enlivening energy that can awaken in our nervous system, is generally regarded to be a feminine energy that is awakened and it's like, it's kind of hard to explain. It's making spirit active, right? It's making it, it's putting like guardrails on it to give it like a function, to guide it a certain way, to do something with it. Instead of it just being like infinite spirit, it's like put to use for a specific purpose. You know, like the spirit enters the womb and then something specific is created with that energy. So you need that feminine womb to kind of give that the boundaries and borders and shape to some spiritual energy and do something practicable with it. And like now is the time to turn heaven into fire. Now is the time, whether it's like literally your spiritual practices and you have an opportunity to enliven your nervous system with some spiritual technique, go forward with it now. It'd be very productive. It'd be very good for your inner progress, or even external stuff. If you have some project you're working on, maybe at work or maybe some creative thing, like whatever it is, you can make both internal and external progress very, very rapidly at this time and very, very effectively. You have like a sure chance of getting somewhere with whatever it is that you're doing. So set your mind to some worthy venture that's worth your time, and you will succeed, or you'll put yourself on the road to success, and you will take strides getting there at this time. You have a good window of opportunity here. So I'm gonna pull some cards for you now, Gemini, and develop this a little bit further. Let's see, what does Gemini need to know? So we're looking at the Knight. It's just a symbol of a little shield. It's like a masculine protective energy. It's the counterpart to the Nurse. The Nurse would be the complement to the Knight. I'd say the opposite, but it's not like opposite. It's like complement. You know, it's pretty much everything you'd think of when you think of a knight. It's that chivalrous energy, it's that honor, having a code of conduct, protecting something that's worth protecting, taking the path of action, doing something. You know, a knight needs a mission, you know? So give your inner knight a mission. You've got an inner knight inside of you that needs something to do. And now is the time to move forward with it, and your knight will succeed or be well on its way to success. Here we have Death. I like this Death card. This deck is really beautiful. The Heaven and Earth Tarot. I can't remember who the artist is. Oh man. Here we have people who respect death, right? In this card. They're not really afraid. They're more or less deferential, or at least, you know, somewhat reverential. And they understand the importance of transformation and its place in life, and how, you know, all things go through cycles. And yeah, death is usually a good card, in my opinion, when it comes out in the tarot. I know a lot of people are afraid of this card, but all it really means is, like, it can mean the cessation from suffering. It can mean the ending of a chapter and the opening of a new chapter. And death is always on the move, right? Death is always moving forward. He's always got someone to meet. He's always got something to do, right? His day never ends. He works around the clock, and he always has some chapter to close. And he's kind of like a knight. In fact, like, he really is a knight. You can see him dressed in armor here. He's on his horse. He's proceeding forward. He has like this bishop or pope who is paying him respects the way during, say, the chivalric era or the Holy Roman Empire, a knight would be respected. And a knight has the authority, at least in that particular time period, had the authority to dispense justice in their own way, however they saw fit or however they needed to, because they all followed a code of conduct that was set out by, well, originally by King Arthur, or by the emperor or whomever. And it was a chivalric honor code. And these knights were so trusted because they were so serious about their duties. They believed that their duty would get them into heaven, essentially. It was their key to salvation, was performing their responsibilities honorably to the strict adherence of their code. And so they could be trusted to just wander around everywhere and do what needed to be done, carrying out justice, helping people who asked for help, and just keeping order in a society. And this hexagram here also refers to a period in history where this king in ancient China, who was trying to take out a tyrant, needed help in keeping order while the rebellion was going on. Because during a revolution, right, things can get really chaotic. So he had to have trusted individuals who could keep order throughout the lands while the government was in flux, while he was taking down old governmental structures and replacing them with new ones, taking down old governors and replacing them with new ones. And it was a chaotic time, and he needed, like, trusted knights to carry out order. And he didn't have time to delegate. He didn't have time to check up on them. Much like the Holy Roman Emperor wouldn't have time to check up on all these knights. He just has to trust them to make sure that order is being kept in the land. And to be a trustworthy knight is no mean feat. You really have to prove yourself, and you have to be truly honest. And it's not just being honest with other people, it's being honest with yourself. When you want to do something and you set your mind to something, you have to make sure your intentions are pure. You don't become a knight because you think it's going to bring you social prestige, or because you think the emperor is going to reward you with land one day and it's going to make you wealthy. You become a knight because you truly believe it's the correct way to behave as a human man or woman. Knights were generally men. And it's just the right thing to do. Like, we do these things because it's the right thing to do. And we're incorruptible. Nobody can bribe us to make us act differently. Nobody can persuade us to act differently. We know what's right. We know what's wrong. We uphold the law, the spiritual laws, God's law, natural law, because we want to. And we are unshakable from this conviction. So if you are unshakable in your code of conduct, and you stick to your code of conduct because it's your code of conduct, because it's right for you and you know it, and you're incorruptible, unbribable, unflappable in this, you will close an old chapter and open up a new one very swiftly these days. You have an opportunity to just close a book and open up a new book, start writing a new book. The new book of your new life can just flood out from you now, if you just put your mind to it and think about your code of conduct and what it is and why you have it. And if you put that code of conduct above all else, I think you'll have a lot of success in transforming your life. That might be the missing ingredient here. You know, find out why you do certain things. Find a high ideal to dedicate yourself to and act in accordance with that high ideal. And you might see some interesting results. Opposition, adversus. So here we have a lion under attack. Who knows, is the lion the bad guy and the spears are the good guys? Or is the lion the good guy and the spears are the bad guys? I guess that's the point of adversity. We don't really know. It could go either way for an interpretation. But he has a very long tail. And he looks like he's almost going to be able to defend himself with that tail, at least divert that spear with that thing that keeps balance. So, you know, a feline's tail helps them keep balance, and they can do all sorts of interesting feats. They can jump across really far gaps onto a very thin ledge and balance there, and they can walk along tight ropes, basically. You've seen cats and the crazy stuff they can do with their tail. So a sense of balance here will protect you from any adversity. Keeping balance within yourself or balance within your life is going to be the key to thwarting any sort of adversity, any sort of competitive energy or conflicting energy with your goals. As long as you maintain balance in what you're doing and within yourself, you will watch all that adverse energy flow around you and away from you, and it will dissolve and die off, and it won't affect you. But you know, inner balance is easier said than done, that interaction between yin and yang. But you are the knight here in this. You've got that energy of, you can do this, you're sure, you have convictions, you are convinced, you are capable, you've been appointed a knight. To be appointed a knight is to have proven your trustworthiness already. A knight is already a very advanced person. They have to go through a lot of trials. They have to prove themselves in many ways before they even become knighted. So here you are knighted already, which means you've gone through your trials. And now, after knighthood, or after you've gone through a lot of trials and have established yourself as a more fully developed being and have come into like a new higher level of selfhood, then we get these little repeat trials, kind of, or like negative energy comes at us so that we can see how skillful we are now that we've made this, now that we've graduated in some sort of maybe spiritual development or something like that, psychological, emotional development, or even earthly, financial, and material development. Obstacles come up to be like, to prove to us, like, did you really graduate? Do you really know how to handle these problems now? Like, you know, a long time ago, these problems would have been a lot for you to handle. They would have upset you, they would have been real stumbling blocks, but you've graduated now, and they're gonna come at you again, and you'll see how you can just swat them away like flies. Like, the same problems you've dealt with in the past are gonna come back real quick, and you're just gonna, like, you'd be like, wow, why did I ever think things like this were problems? These are so easy to just thwart and get rid of. This is incredible. And you'll recognize these new talents and skills you have. Like, you know, this proceeding forward, it's also this idea that the talented moves upward. The gentle and the talented moves upward as part of the Yao text. And you'll find that you have these talents that maybe you couldn't express before because there was nothing to express them with. And then some problem shows up and you realize, oh, you have a talent to solve this problem. And you just do it. Like, it just happens automatically because you have the skill to do it. You know exactly how to tackle it, and you go forth and you tackle it and get rid of the problem, and then you move on to the next step. And you can just do it. These things are no longer going to be stumbling blocks or speed bumps for you. They're just going to be like doors that you open and just little things that you blow out of the way from you. And you're just going to make progress with your skills that you've developed. I'm going to pull one last token for you, Gemini, to round this all together. All right, what does Gemini need to know? So we have air, the elemental symbol for air. And another little I Ching symbol here, that would be wind or wood. Both are appropriate. And the Sanskrit symbol Va. So here we have a high level of spiritual energy. Wind or air can symbolize a person who can gain quick communication with the spiritual world. When we want to have communications with the invisible, sometimes we meditate on the element of air and we imbue ourselves with the element of air, and it gives us this lightness and this levitating feeling and this empty feeling and this just tranquility, and it's associated with the sky. And so then in such a state we can find communication a lot easier. Communication with the invisible world, or even communication with the visible world. If we focus on the air element, which is associated with the throat chakra, then communication becomes swift and easy. Charisma is a little more on point, and we can use it effectively. So maybe part of your skills and talents are self-expression and communication. And you can use that now to great benefit. You can get your ideas across, you can gain support, you can gain people's trust through your words. People will believe what you say at this time. So make sure you speak the truth, because people might believe you no matter what you say. And if you communicate as per your code of conduct that you're going to stick to, you will feel this like harmony, this alignment within yourself when your thoughts, your speech, and your actions and your will are all in line with each other. And it's a great feeling when you speak in line with your thoughts, in line with your will and your actions. You feel like a complete person. A lot of things straighten themselves out, a lot of problems that we have and things like that. When we start being in alignment like that, things smooth out in front of us and for us, like almost automatically. And it can be a great thing when the air element is in harmony with all of that, and particularly with the speech, because then we can affect people around us and help them as well. And like, everybody has issues cleared up because of your ability to speak clearly, get certain ideas across, and organize people, organize your thoughts, organize your intentions, make them known, be above board and everything. And you can have a really, really good effect on people right now. Your talents can have a really powerful effect on the world around you at this time. And it will feel light and easy, like natural. It's like you're supposed to be doing this. So whatever talents you have, call upon them at this time and see that you can use them for really great benefit for everyone and everything, including yourself. And you'll have that internal and external progress at the same time, and you might even help others have internal and external progress as well, simply by setting an example, just by being yourself, by following your code of conduct and being such a clear communicator. You'll smooth out a lot of things in the world around you. So you have the potential right now to really be a force of great good in the world, even in your own little small way, or it could be a huge way. I have no idea who you are. I could be talking to like some politician or something, but everyone changes the world every day with every decision they make. You know, like when Gandalf talks about the hobbits, when Galadriel was so surprised that he chose hobbits for his mission, and he's like, well, hobbits are the shit. Like, they're brave, they do good things, they make good choices every day, they're good neighbors, they're friendly to each other, and that's the sort of thing that changes the world. And so all of our little choices, as long as we are clear in our communications and sticking to a code of conduct, every little thing we do, the way we talked to the cashier at the coffee shop, the way we held a door open for someone, the way we smiled at someone walking across us on a sidewalk, can have a huge effect. I was just reminded of a terrible story. It's a beautiful story, but it's also kind of terrible. My dad's friend a long time ago, back in the 60s, was in a bad way. And he was walking to the Brooklyn Bridge to do what a lot of people do when they walk across the Brooklyn Bridge. And he was done, you know? And he said, if just one person smiles to me, I won't do it. He got all the way to the Brooklyn Bridge without a single person smiling at him, even though he tried to make eye contact with every person he walked by in New York City. That's a lot of people. And right when he got to the very center of the bridge, a young woman just smiled at him and said, hey, and then just kept walking by. He was at his final step when it happened. So you never know when you can save someone's life just by smiling and saying, hey. And I think you're in a position right now where you'll just naturally be like a light in the world today, Gemini, or for this moment, this time period, this chapter you're in. You're gonna have that vibe, that beautiful, beautiful vibe. So Gemini, I think that's all the Oracle and I have for you today. I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I always appreciate you hanging out, and I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.